For 30 years, one Michigan resident believed that the rock-like object he mysteriously found in a smoking hole on his property was nothing more than a large worthless stone. He was actually using it as a doorstop to keep his backyard shed ajar. But after getting an expert opinion, he learned that there was much more to this simple rock than met the eye, and that he was about to become a very rich man. Farmer investigating smoking hole in field uncovers wildly valuable treasure. But before we get started, if you're enjoying this video, show us some love by subscribing. It's the best way to support us and never miss out. Let's get started. Without a doubt, the Edmar, Michigan homestead he was hoping to buy back in 1988 wasn't precisely pristine. However, Mazda RX actually needed to know precisely exact thing he was finding himself mixed up with. Mazurek saw an enormous stone setting open the entryway of the back shed. Mazurek barely cared about it from the beginning, yet as the visit proceeded, he just couldn't shake the odd-looking stone from his psyche. It was not normal for any stone he'd at any point seen. That is the point at which the rancher uncovered that it wasn't of this world by any means. As per the rancher, he had really seen the stone tumble from the night sky as a kid thinking back to the 1930s. The stone was as yet hot to the touch as the rancher, and his dad pulled it from the soil. The rancher's story was sufficiently reasonable. However, all things considered, Mazurek wasn't completely persuaded a shooting star as a doorstop. In any case, he was glad to take the stone when the rancher offered it to him alongside the property. For the following 30 years, Mazur utilized the stone and the main way he realized how as a doorstop. However, the uncommon stone kept on wondering every one of the individuals who saw it, and throughout the long term, his youngsters even carried it to school for show until at last, following a meteor shower in 2018, Mazurek started to contemplate whether the rancher's story could have been valid, all things considered. Individuals all over Michigan were tracking down shooting stars in their own terraces. However, they surely weren't involving them as doorstops, besides the fact that Michiganians turning where these space rocks in for cash. Yet they were likewise making a few quite truckloads of money doing it. To Mazurek could hardly comprehend what his entryway's top may be worth. However, there was as yet one glaring inquiry he expected to respond to first. Was this a genuine shooting star or simply a revolting stone? However, when she looked at Mazda RX stone specialists, her best, who realized they were managing something particularly amazing. Grasping it, the huge stone had the indications of being all a shooting star. However, it didn't take something beyond an actual assessment to validate her premonitions. Utilizing X-beam fluorescent specialists, our best goo pigeon into the cosmetics of the stone. While Mazda RX entryway's top was 88% iron that likewise contained 12% nickel, being that this metal is exclusively found, shooting star specialists are best who realized this stone came from space. Mazda RX shooting star was presently the 6th biggest space stone of being recuperated in Michigan kind. All the more explicitly, she recommended it could get up to $100,000, yet they were losing track of what's most important here. And Dr. Sir BSC, who would have rather not made guarantees she was unable to keep, to be extra guaranteed that this was really $100 shooting star, she cut a piece of the stone and sent it off to the Smithsonian for extra examination. No matter what the gift, in any case, Dr. Serbesco demanded that having the option to concentrate on the shooting star was gift enough. Permitting her understudies to genuinely interface with the space rock provided them with an interesting point of view on the real essence of their investigations. Mazda RX meteorite, presently named the Edmar shooting star, keeps on being broke down in the expectation of finding uncommon Earth components inside. This stone story began 2 years after Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took a Goliath jump for humankind. At the point when NASA closed 2 lunar arrivals weren't sufficient. The mission saw Officer Alan Shepard order module pilot Stuart Roosa and lunar module pilot Edgar Mitchell suit up for what might be a multi-day jaunt to the moon. They didn't have the foggiest idea, nonetheless, that they'd make a disclosure bound to shake mainstream researchers years after the fact. On February 5, the team arrived on the moon. Shepard and Mitchell took monster jumps of their own while Roosa remained in lunar circle. Roosa took photographs of the Earth and Moon, including the spot the future Apollo 16 was booked to land. Cool as that sounds, the genuine game-changing mission included rocks. Shepard and Mitchell gathered very nearly 100 pounds of moon rocks. Researchers were most likely licking their lips thinking about all the interesting moon minerals and lunar topographical practices these young doggies would assist them with understanding. On February 9, the Apollo 14 team landed securely in the Pacific Sea. Back on the planet, They conveyed their discoveries to NASA, where researchers anxiously went to work. Unbeknownst to the Apollo 14 team, in any case, was that in the midst of those many rocks was one that would have researchers totally puzzled: a stone that should not be being on the moon. The 1.8 grams test contained stone, a mineral normal on the planet, however extraordinarily interesting on the moon. The example additionally contains quartz underneath, teacher named Jaw added, which is a much more uncommon track down on the moon. Furthermore, the science was altogether different from that of each and every other zircon grain at any point broke down in lunar examples. He proceeded, and strikingly like that recognition tracked down on Earth, and as such, some way or another, among every one of the stones gathered by Shepard and Mitchell was a stone framed on the planet. The story behind the stone's venture as they saw it began 4 billion years before the Apollo 14 team ventured on board their rocket. This made sense of why the stone gathered by the Apollo team was so obviously framed under Earthbound circumstances. Then at that point, elective hypothesis is that circumstances on the moon billions of years prior resembled something contrary to what they are presently, and that permitted the stone to shape as his chateau, and his group tracked down the space rock, sling a more sensible hypothesis. One way or another, as colleague Dr. David Crane of the college's Space Exploration Affiliation said, a phenomenal find helps portray early Earth and the barrage that changed our planet. Incidentally, a couple of years before the Apollo 14 group sent off space explorer Gordon Cooper, who played a comparative part to that of 14, Stuart Roosa initially made a revelation from space that impacted the manner in which we saw history. It was 1959 when NASA welcomed Cooper to Washington, D.C. as a possible contender for the Mercury venture. The undertaking tried to place a man into Earth's circle and afterward return him securely, and Cooper was an optimal up-and-comer. In the wake of putting him on a waitlist of 109 expected up-and-comers, NASA chose Cooper as one of 7 people for the program. For pretty much 34 hours, Cooper circled Earth, turning into the primary space traveler to stay in bed space. As Confidence 7 got back to Earth, the program's steering framework breakdown. Experienced flyer that he was, Cooper didn't overreact. Cooper's central goal likewise includes taking pictures. "Man, all I do is take pictures, pictures, pictures," he said in a message to ground control. Cooper's camera was really prepared to recognize attractive abnormalities along the world's surface. This permitted him to search for Soviet atomic bases or submarines off the bank of the U.S. furtively. During the time spent looking for secret atomic bases, Cooper additionally recognized many oddities close to the Caribbean, which he painstakingly outlined in his little Confidence 7 shuttle. Cooper didn't know what he'd spotted from space. However, he had a couple of thoughts. When securely back on the planet, Cooper began exploring his discoveries. The inconsistencies he saw appeared to be grouped around old exchanging courses that had been exceptionally dealt by Spanish boats. Cooper immediately made the association from the transportation courses to potential wrecks, and he explored all that he could with respect to exceptionally old wrecks. In any case, Cooper had opportunity and energy to investigate his discoveries genuinely. As he became older, time begun running out the burden with Parkinson's and approaching the finish of his days, Cooper didn't maintain that his mysterious revelation should be in vain. So he called his companion, Daryl M.C. Closewright, a pilgrim who had experience chasing after rocket transport trash. M.C. Burdens could research for Cooper's sake. Cooper died in 2004. However, by then his guide was securely in his companion's ownership. Finally, it was the ideal opportunity for M.C. Lowe's to research what Gordon Cooper had seen from space those many years prior. Neither did the Revelation Channel, which alongside Scratch Lowe's made Cooper's fortune, a 2017 program that reported the examination. On one excursion, Scratch Lowe's and his team ventured out to a spot on Cooper's guide searching for proof of a wreck. By mid-2017, Nick Lowe's and his team had looked through 5 spots on Cooper's guide, and at each of the 5 they found proof of a wreck with chase strings of focuses still left to investigate. What different fortunes may be hanging tight for me near reveal Scratch Lowe's arrangement to visit the other areas, however it would require investment. In any case, as he told Newsweek, I hear Gordon all the time toward the rear of my head. Thanks for watching. If you don't want to miss out on any of our upcoming videos, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. It's the best way to stay in the loop.